Hey guys, and welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Commander Cockings. It's more ships, Stuart.
That's right. We are continuing our discovery of the Discovery ships, but not the Discovery. We're going to look at the Shenzhou.
This is our third follow-up, as they keep releasing new shots information.
Yes.
But Stuart, this first picture, the start of the Netflix trailer, is the best picture yet. What do you think? Now you can see her in the full beauty and glory.
It's beautiful. I love everything about it. It seems to me like it's a Star Trek Online ship, though. With the styling, the design, it doesn't seem like it's something from the era. We've talked about that before. I love this design, though. The reimagining is fantastic. The placement of the registry numbers and the name of the ship on the sides is totally unique and very cool.
Does that imply that the deflector needs that entire middle section to generate power? Like, the conduits are so strong that they can't have, like, functional stuff there. Besides, they can't have the bridge there, they can't have whatever there. So let's not put the registry on top of the conduits, let's put it at the sides, because space.
No?
No,
maybe. We can't put it there. It's too high output. It's going to peel the paint off. So
yes,
we can't
I was thinking that. Polarize it off. But obviously that which we sort of already knew. Well, we get first look at the proper deflector. We did work out in the previous version that there is a two-prong deflector a la Columbia, but also now, as we know, our Discovery, it has a two-prong as well. And it's beautiful. It's not even like an angle. It's not central. It's like also asymmetrical in a sense. Like the top is small than the bottom. It's got glowing elements and also a dish. Beautiful. Just a wonderful in between, yet not making sense, yet linked to the past, yet the future. Just
It's interesting too, the color choice. It's not blue like a standard deflector or like a sensor. It is purple, pinkish, but then again, they are in an atmosphere right now because they're just leaving that planetary surface. So maybe it's different while it's in space.
Yeah, I can't see any other pictures where it's a different color in this trailer. I had a little look.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, well, that could be like to deflect against the polarized. Because we assume it's the same planet that they're actually beaming them from, which we see has these big thunderstorms and stuff. So maybe it's specifically helping to shield against those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else you see? I have a couple of little things.
I love the striping on it. Don't know what that signifies, if it's a specific form of ship or whatever, if all the ships in the fleet have some kind of striping.
Well, the Franklin has weird yellow striping that doesn't link to anything specifically, so different branches might have different styles. Maybe.
Yeah.
So a couple of things I see. In the heads-up display, you can see where the torpedoes are launched from. While they might be underneath the saucer, these two bits either side of the deflector, there's a recessed bit with lights and what could be a hatch. If you base it on the diagrams, those could be the front torpedo launchers, recessed and sort of subtle, but would sort of fit. There are potentially internal things that could slide down and shoot.
Yeah, and they are numbered. Did you say they were numbered, or did you? I
didn't. Are they numbered?
Yeah, the one on the right says 02, I think, in red.
Ooh.
I could be mistaken.
Interesting.
The other side, can't really tell, but could be a 01.
But also, we have another piece of tech. Now, I'll just say it at first out loud. Either side, but to the right-hand side, you can see these little doors. I mean, I would bet my bottom dollar those are phaser pulse turrets. There are potentially two phaser ball turrets past the four on the right. I think those could very well be. But, if you look at the era, now obviously the JJ stuff is difficult given that it's not prime timeline and it's a different universe and a different company, so you can't use the same stuff without permission. So they're using pulse turrets like they use is a little bit, up in the air. But we saw Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise, they have doors, things come out, they shoot. So if this was an old ship, which I'd like to think it is, it's an NX iterative step rather than a TOS step. It's old for the era. It's linking to that. Then you have these turrets that pop out. Those are pulse turrets, which is fine. Just retract them a bit. There's got these two phase turrets either side that refits. I'm sure phase turrets aren't that difficult to put in, phaseable turrets, because they're just additions to the external hull. You carve out a couple of quarters, you plonk in the mechanisms. But I think clearly there's well, they're not escape pods. We know the escape pods come out of, but I think there's what do you think? Pulse phaser turrets or even phaser turrets launch zones, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say they're turrets, for sure.
So pretty heavily armed for that.
Yeah. Going to the next shot for a second. It's interesting. There's a row of windows just back from the deflector.
Yeah.
Which would make a perfect place for a bridge, to be honest, but we know it's not there. Even back further, there's another raised section that has all the lights are off in those windows, but that again would be an awesome place to put a bridge. But as we know, the bridge on this one is on the bottom side, so that could be the mess. It could be the mess hall.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I will note
it's going to have something with a cool view, I think.
Yeah. I will note that if you look in the windows, there's nothing in the windows. There's no 3D geometry inside the windows. They're all white. As was all of Trek, bar some specific close-ups were all 2D white. And in all the pictures you can see they're actually very flat, considering. Although now, if you actually look to the left-hand side, those potential torpedo launchers, are they tubes? Or are they details, maybe vents for doors?
I think those might be the launchers, to be perfectly honest. The other ones look too much like windows. Those look more like recessed ports of some kind, torpedo tubes.
Good places to have them, though. Very sort of submarine-y, either side at the front. And again, beautiful shot. But the next picture is in space, and we get another great view of the back. Big impulse engines, lots of windows. You've actually got blue spotlights on the insides of the engines. I noticed that a few times. There's blue spotlights rather than white blinkies appear to be around the ship. And no lights for the shuttle bay. If the shuttle bay is at the back there, as we think it is, there's no lights on the shuttle bay, as is every other ship by the NX-01. Which kind of, I guess, makes sense. The TOS and NX don't, but everything after does. Yeah. Just a small detail.
Yeah. Again, the string of the long set of lights at the back intrigues me. I want to know what's back there and what kind of view is going on back there.
What would you put? I mean, it's such a weird thing to have literally a flat rectangle section at the bottom of your ship.
Yeah. I don't know. I would say engineering room, but I wouldn't want my engineering room exposed with windows and things. So
bay windows where they walk was going vroom vroom vroom. So no.
Yeah.
Also, and this is something we'll definitely see later on, red seems to be the colour of this ship's grills. You can see two little cutouts on either side with a little red indent. Subtle grilling, maybe. But it's lit. I mean, it's illumination on the engines. We'll get into that a little bit later. Actually, the next shot, Stuart. Look, it does have warp grills. They're bottom of the ship, and they're red, and they're very slight, which is not what I was expecting.
No. Again, looks fantastic, but it's kind of unprecedented in any form of Star Trek to have that. A red light along the length of a nacelle.
Red?
Yeah.
It's just red. I mean, what could red be? I mean, a strip of basalt? Funnels matter? I mean, why not? But, again...
Could just be like mood lighting. The captain chooses what color he wants his ship. Could be that it's a red alert because it's facing off against this sarcophagus ship.
That's an efficient use of bulbs.
Look at us. We're mad and angry. It's like an animal raising its...
Hey, you've stopped being red and green, guys. We're going to be red. Well, I will say, this shot, boy, does that look like it's the other way around, and that's a lovely bridge at the top there, and it's zooming. It's like an NX with the more pontoons with the engines up. Yeah. That'd actually really work, I think, as a upside down ship. Actually.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
It's a great shot. And look at the stepped nature of that bottom saucer. Haven't we seen the bottom bit before? That's really stepped. There's no smoothness there.
No. No. It does work as an NX. I just flipped the image upside down.
Yep.
And wow, it's actually really cool looking. But anyway.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
The next shot is the same kind of view, but from the other side. Again, not much to really make out here. It looks like there might be some kind of... Well, there's detailing on those nacelles, and it almost looks like phaser turrets. I don't think it is at all. But I just wanted to point it out that it's something interesting there, like a detail that
And I remembered why I was put this picture in. I was meant to put a couple of pictures in, but I forgot. So, little subtle thing, I'll do it in the post editing. If you look at the bottom of the hull, right after the bridge dome, bottom bridge dome, there's one red light. In fact, behind the bridge there is 2 red lights that go on and off. They go on, back one goes on, the front one goes on. They both stay on, they both go off. So they've got 2 red blinkies behind the bridge.
Huh.
And I noticed that in the trailer. I was like, well, that's a weird thing. We've never had red blinkies there ever. Maybe it's red alert again, but why would you alert people to red alert?
Yeah.
It's super subtle thing, but I noticed it. I just wanted to point it out to you all, because why not?
I didn't notice that.
I know. The next picture is the last frame of this shot where the blaster disruptor torpedo hits, and it is in crisp focus. And again, we can see a nice shot of the front of the nacelles, and again another red strip on the edge. And look how many windows this ship has. Like in a sort of side profile, there's a lot of windows. They are absolutely throwing them at this ship.
Yeah. I love the detail you can see here. Just the brightness of the shot.
Exactly.
So there's no like visible Bizarre collectors or anything on these nacelles at all. There's not even any kind of opening. There's detailing there, but nothing that really says anything related to the nacelles of the time that we're aware of.
Well, like I said, maybe they've chosen like TOS to armor up the nacelles, but instead of having a front Bassards like history has allowed, you have grilling Bassards, and that lets the whole thing be armored. And it gives it more an aggressive feel because it's redder. I don't know. But again,
yes.
Do you see the blue blinkies? There's a blue light on each. A lot of blue lights. This is a blue. Literally, you can see them. And also, one nice thing about this ship that I appreciate, which I think Discovery follows a bit, but it actually goes a bit further. Look how simple the hull is. There is not a lot of detail, which is a TOS aesthetic. You know, they could have gone that hyper ultra detailed route. They did not. This is. And I've talked to people on the inside a little bit about some of the details. There's a lot. It's actually a simple design in terms of details, which is good. You know, I appreciate.
As do I. As do I. Now the next shot is again. This takes me back to Starfleet Battles, or not
Right.
Starfleet Battles. Sorry, Star Trek Online. What am I saying? Starfleet?
Okay.
Star Trek Online. This seems like a Star Trek Online screen cap almost.
Yeah.
Taking away the heads-up display.
Ooh.
It does, 100%.
Yeah.
And again, the ship has a very Star Trek Online feel for me, and I do really like the ship.
Oh yeah.
I think this is a fantastic design. Now, a lot of phaser fire going on, and if you notice, it's pulse phasers, which aren't really a thing until Star Trek II, when the refit fights Khan. So I don't know if the phasers have always had the capability to pulse fire. That would make perfect sense. And if these are like the turrets, like we said, it could just be one firing then the next. So it's not really pulse. It's just, well, it is pulse, but you know what I mean. It's not just a standard phaser.
It's like
beam.
it's short. It's like on a camera you have exposure. It's like short exposure phasers. But because you have limited power, you have to fire through each emitter separately. So rather than having like one big beam, you have 4 emitters that each go which isn't really pulse, because pulse phases we see in Star Trek, in Enterprise, it's single emitter.
Yeah.
In Wrath of Khan, same thing. In JJ, multiple, even faster. This is actually kind of in between. It's got a slow rate of fire, and the bolts are much bigger. What you would not consider, like if these beams were double in length, you could say they were very quick firing. You know, the D's gone like it's close, you know. And that's why I picked this picture, because again you can, and I want to talk about the phases in particular, but they are blue, huzzah. Definitely the pulse variety, and in this trailer a great sense of shots. And if you quickly cut between the next couple of pictures, you know, a lot of fire, a lot of pulses. I mean, this is a quick fire. It's bullets. They're firing bullets. What we think, you know, they appeal into modern audiences where they associate guns, weapons with multiple fire. It's not single beam. I mean, what do we have now? Apart from a minigun, that's because it's hundreds of bullets that feel like one stream. And I will say also, no shields in this shot. In the first shot, is being hit. In no point do you see it being energy shielded, which is weird. Maybe there's sabotage, whatever. Who knows? Don't know. But yeah, you can see multiple bits of fire. And even if you cut a couple of pictures later, Stuart, it's shooting back behind itself again, firing very, very quick arcs from the bottom, which means it has weapons there. But also, if you cut to the explosion shot, what people are calling it a bird of prey, it's the same as the other glider thing. That comes at camera, it's clearly firing behind itself as well, in the same spread. So its firing arc is really, really good. And it certainly has more turrets than we think it has.
That's good. That's one thing that TOS Enterprise was kind of lacking, was any kind of, first of all, visible phaser banks, and then all over phaser arc coverage. Yeah. So it's great to see that.
I mean, it's one of those things, like in TOS, the phaser color does change, and when they say 5 phases, the 5 torpedoes, there is some incontinuity there, but like a lot. I'm not against the idea of a phaser emitter being able to do pulse as well, but things like the NX-01, they had to have a new weapon to fire phasers. The pulse couldn't do it, the phaser couldn't do pulse. It was it was one or the other. This is 70s in the future, why not both? Sure. And if they say, phasers to burst mode, aye sir. Okay. If you've got a bajillion targets, you want to... Again, it's better than pulse phasers from JJ. Going... I prefer it to that. I prefer this sort of Star Trek 2. And again, Nicholas Meyer, he's the one that presumably told visual effects, let's, shoot us a bajillion bullets. And if we go to picture, 54, frame 54, this is 2 shots of it firing phasers at this Klingon ship, which we've talked about in a previous episode. It's a very strange design. This is when it's firing from 2 distinct beam emitters, and you can see exactly where they come from. They look like ball turrets for the most part. See, this is where and literally they're 1 frame long. Their fire is a single frame of fire, which is very, very quick for a weapon to fire. If you look at the scene, it's like... But this is how it would feel if I was firing phasers, and boy do I prefer it. Like a single strong beam.
Yeah.
Subtle,
absolutely.
But I like it.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you on that one.
Yeah. Just a little thing.
One of my favorite scenes, actually, which is hard to really see because it's not very long, but when you freeze it, is the escape pod launching from the Shenzhou. All the panels opened and all these little escape pods going out. Now, the escape pods are very interesting. They look almost like little mini shuttlecraft, as opposed to what we're used to for escape pods. These seem like very functional.
You say that,
escape pods. I know.
But think back to Star Trek Beyond, Stuart. Single man, little pointy escape pods. Look at some of these shapes.
But that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking escape pods from like Voyager and Enterprise E, which are more like pods that are just a little bit maneuverable. These look like shuttles, like fighters almost.
They do a bit. Like several person,
Yeah. So I think this is really cool because we've never really seen... Well, I guess we have in Voyager, and like I said, the movie First Contact.
That's a long way in the future, though. We've not seen this era before.
No, and I love seeing all the panels open and just this stuff coming out. I think it's a fantastic look. So,
well, it also says, the fact is, you can't see these panels in the other pictures. Like, they're not visible. As far as I could, I've looked. I don't feel like I can see them. Cut back to the first picture. They're very, very well hidden. You can sort of see the indents, but they're very well hidden. So this is, answering a great question of the TOS Enterprise. Well, it must have escape pods, surely. Well, maybe they're there somewhere, so they refit, but they're just, showing they exist in this version imply that they're just fine in later versions.
And somebody that I might know might be writing an episode on escape pods in Star Trek, so we might be able to answer that question.
That's exciting. But Stuart, do you not normally launch escape pods right at the end of a ship's life, normally?
Normally, yes.
How intact does the ship look?
It looks very intact. There's a little bit of battle damage on the top, right by the red stripe there. But, again, it could be there's a warp core breach in progress or something that they have to get off.
Yeah.
Or it could be that they think the ship's going to be destroyed and it turns out not to be. I don't know. It just doesn't look very damaged.
Well, we see especially in earlier parts of the trailer, we see Sneaker Marking Green, flung out of an obliterated segment of the hull. There's nothing like that here. I suppose you could say that bit in the top is, but to have the one bit that's destroyed as her bit is a bit weird. For me, it looks a lot more like, I guess it could be that zone.
That scene that you're talking about, I think it was kind of in darkness when we examined it before.
Yeah.
It could be at the bottom where the ship is darker.
True.
It could be a section of the saucer missing there.
That's very true. But it wouldn't be an interesting story plot. You know, we see. I know it's a little bit of a stretch, but you know they escape because they think they're going to go and blow up. The Cleons take the prisoners. That's when Sneakwa and the captain have to beam aboard. That's why they beam aboard, and try and rescue them maybe. And then there's EVA to try and hold them off. I mean.
My feeling personally is that the ship got ordered to evacuate. All these pods launched. She was trapped in that one section, which was held together by force fields. And then she propels herself through open space through another section of force field. And then we see the scene where she's running through the corridors. The ship's got no power. She jumps down to the shuttle bay and takes the last shuttle, the last few people that are on board, because there's no other shuttles in that shuttle bay. Yeah. So maybe they all launched and they were waiting for her. So maybe that's what's going on. That's kind of what I gathered from it, but I could be totally way off base there. So
I buy that. Yeah, I buy that. Again, this trailer is very out of sequence, which is good. I mean, it harkens back to that scene in particular, her being in the brig. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, soon, a lot. So clearly a focus point of one of these episodes. But yeah, visually beautiful scene.
Yeah.
A lot of escape pods, which actually again gives a sense of scale. Because I think Rick said, 6 escape pods per person? Or was it more than that? Rick Sternbach said 6 or 8.
One escape pod per 6 people.
Yeah, so 6 people. So, I mean, you can count... I mean, if this thing has a crew of, several hundred, you can sort of guess the scale. But the size of the windows does not make it look like a huge ship.
No.
But we know it... Well, again, we were told by internal sources, at least originally, it was a much, much, much larger ship.
Again, Rick saying that is based on Voyager, that era.
Also, prime timeline.
These could be 2 or 3 person escape pods. Yeah, these could be 2 or 3 person escape pods because it is a smaller ship. So
it's true.
Less crew and...
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the window scaling on the left-hand bottom, I mean, the window looks about, 4 windows make up an escape pod, maybe? I mean, they're probably like 2, 3 person crafts. There might be single person craft. Probably a little stretching a single person, although that'd be quicker to evacuate because you could just jump into one, boom, you escape. Because I could see a ship being, especially the shuttle bay is that back segment. We have a rough sense of scale for that. It's not huge. It's big. It's not huge though, and it goes a long way back. I would like to see a ship only have like 200 people. Personally, So if it's each 2 people, that could escape quite easily. With the shuttle as well. But yeah, Stuart, let's end on some concept art that was released at San Diego Comic-Con for the Shenzhou 2 angles. There she is in all of her glory.
Yes. And these are very, very nice art, actually. We've had the opportunity to see these quite early on. I got them from multiple sources, actually, sent to me. So, but
we've had to not talk about things we've known a little bit.
Which is hard to do.
Sometimes.
But anyway, these I love the artwork here. I think it's fantastic. And here, even the deflector looks different here than it does in that first shot we see in this trailer. It's not as lit up here. But wow, it's a great looking ship.
Yes, and more stripes. In this one, it looks like the red stripes. I mean, we now know there's a red stripe of grilling on the engines. Here, it just implies it's war paint, like the other parts. But I mean, I think we said early on, independently to ourselves, we said this kind of feels like the warp. Just like on the reef, it has those blue lines to signify warp power management. This could be the power conduit lines. I mean, it would make some sense. You've got the red for the escape pods to power those, maybe. You've got the one on the top to go towards the deflector. You've got the ones to go towards the warp engines, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, great translation from concept to final.
Absolutely. I just want to say something about the underside concept shot.
Yes.
That kind of gives a sense of scale because we see the bridge windows. And we've talked in depth about when we zoom into those bridge windows, how big the ship is. So it doesn't look very big.
Yeah.
In my estimation.
Although you can see the concept art's changed here, because now we've got windows on the entire length of that bottom rectangle piece. That in here is these big blue engines, potentially. Now they're all just windows. And that's just a point. But also you can note that there might be the torpedo launchers on the bottom of the hull, either side of the deflector, and then below there are definitely 2 torpedo ports either side. So that would be my guess for torpedo launchers. The top might be something else, maybe probe launchers.
Yeah. Well, the top in the sketch they're closed off, like they have a
Oh,
panel
yeah.
over them or something. So I don't know if they changed their mind between the concept and the final, or if they're on the both bottom and the top.
Well, that's kind of cool though. A panel that opens up, and
Yeah.
then maybe that's where the EVA will come out. Maybe that's where an extra shuttle or probes, like I said. I mean, again, it's like Windows. Windows are fine as long as you have armor and paneling that you can turn on.
And is it just me, or in the concept sketch, do the engines feel very much like the Vengeance engines?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Had to be said. They just look so familiar. It's like they're screaming at me. They're from something else.
Screaming vengeance.
So that's just the voice in my head. But
Telling you to do more Trekyards. I was going to go really dark with that, but I thought, nope, I'm going Trekyards. I'm going insane.
so yeah,
Anyway.
I think that's it. That's kind of our updated look at the Shenzhou. Got a few better views of it in this one, and
Absolutely.
some new things to talk about. So looking forward to seeing it in action for sure.
I think this is one of our favourite pieces of discovery so far. The whole Shenzhou, and again, it's a familiar designer has done it. Very happy with how they're doing it, and excited to see it fly. And kind of how it gets destroyed. But hey, there are multiple of each class of ship, so no reason to not see more of it.
But does it get destroyed? Maybe it just they evacuate it, and it's just a Hulk floating that they salvage. I don't know.
Yes, I agree. Potentially. Anyway, Stuart, thanks so much, audience, for tuning in for this longer episode than I thought we were going to do. A review of this ship again. Great views, great ship. And tune in more for this week. A lot of Discovery videos coming out of all different facets, and a lot of ships. There are ship reveals and some tech and all sorts in between. So thanks so much. Till next time, guys, he is Captain Foley.
And he is Commander Cockings. And we are Team Trekyards.
Huzzah!
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.